Hello everybody, and thank you for participating in today's training video. I'm going to be your host today. My name is Joe Johnson, and what we're going to be covering today is the in-home presentation. And we've got the in-home presentation broken down into 10 steps. What I'm going to go do is I'm going to go through each of the 10 steps and really show you how to transition from one step to the next. This way you can have a smooth transition. You can complete your in-home presentation very easily while you're in the home, and it doesn't feel awkward or clumsy. The first section is step number one, which is the bond and rapport. Oh, by the way, what I would probably recommend is during this, have this printed off, the in-home presentation. This way you can kind of go through the steps with me. I think that would be helpful. So step number one is the bond and rapport. I don't know about you, but for me, that really never came natural. I'm not naturally a chit-chatty kind of person, so I had to kind of develop a technique or figure out a way where I could get to know people and find some common background. One of the things that has been very helpful is utilizing this acronym CORE, C-O-R-E, which stands for Children, Occupation, Recreation, and Emotion. So use this. This will really help you kind of find some common background with your clients, because you can ask them about their children, their grandchildren. You can talk to them about what kind of work did they used to do, what was their occupation, recreation, what do they do for fun now? What do they do to keep themselves entertained? And then also the emotion. The emotion can be more about asking questions if they've have they lost any loved ones recently. Talk about the form that they filled out. Here's the big tip I can give you as far as building rapport and getting to know your clients, is that if you will simply just have a big heart and genuinely take an interest in your clients and ask them the questions, I'm going to tell you, you're going to meet some very interesting people. These are people that are typically in their 50s, 60s, 70s, sometimes even early 80s. They've got some tremendous stories to tell, so let them tell their story. And as they're telling their story, you can add in a little bit about your own history and let them get to know a little bit about you, maybe how long you've been doing this. You can tell them that you're very passionate about it, maybe a little bit about your kids, or maybe you have some grandchildren of your own that you could talk about. So once we've kind of got our clients warmed up a little bit, what I want to do is I want to find out why they sent the card in. So I've got the lead form here, I've got my clipboard. I'll simply say something like this, Bob and Mary, I'm really enjoying getting to know you folks, but I'm sure you don't want me here all day, or you're going to have to, make me a snack or make me dinner. I am kind of curious though, our company literally mails out thousands of these cards every single week. Most people tell us the main reason why they filled it out when they're requesting information is that they just want to make sure is that when they do pass away, that they're not leaving an emotional or financial burden to their children or to their family. Is that why you're requesting information today? So get them to talk about that. Find out why they sent the card in. Once they've acknowledged, why they sent the card in, to kind of dig into the emotional part a little bit, what I want to do next, which is step 3, is I want to do the upfront contract, or also what we call the full disclosure. And that's where I want to lay it out to my clients and let them know exactly how the presentation or how the appointment is going to go. And here's what I have found, is that generally speaking, most people are more comfortable doing business with you if they understand the entire process. So simply what I'm going to say is, Bob and Mary, out of curiosity, do you know how these state-regulated plans work? And they're going to say no. Say, well, let me explain it to you. As I'm visiting with you here today, as you might have seen, I'm a state licensed field underwriter. So simply, it's my job today is just, I'm going to ask you some health questions, find out a little bit about your health history. And by asking you these health questions, I'll be able to identify which of our top-rated carriers would give you the maximum discounts. And once I know exactly what you can apply for, I'm going to show you what most people are doing in your situation. And if we can find something that meets your needs, but probably more important, really fits your budget. If we can do those two things, then what we'll simply do is I'll fill out a little bit of paperwork. I'll send that into the office, and then we'll get an answer back within 3 to 5, we'll say 5 to 10 business days, and I'll let you know if you've been approved or not. Does that sound fair enough to you? They're going to say yes, hopefully. The reason why we want to do the upfront contract like that is because what we're looking for is any objections. Because what I have found is it's much easier to handle objections up front than wait till the end of the presentation to find out, well, I can't do anything today, or I need my daughter here, I need my wife here, or whatever excuse they may come up with. So do the upfront contract. This way you can get your clients to buy into the process, and it also will help you overcome any objections that may be there. From there, what we want to do is we're on step number 4 right now, the pre-sale folder or the free stuff. So once I laid that out and they say, yeah, that's great. Well, Bob and Mary, before I go over, before I ask you all the health questions, would it be okay if I gave you something for free? Of course, they're going to say yes. Okay, this is where you want to reach into your Padfolio, and you want to bring out your pre-sale folder. Now, we've got a video on how to make these, so I'm not going to cover that now, but here's my pre-sale folder. I've got everything in here. I've got my prescription discount card. I've got my free memorial guide from Mutual of Omaha. Also, I'm going to want to have, these are all must. You're going to want to have the sheet. You can print this off, the YIG sheet. It's the current cost. It's what the National Funeral Director says the average funeral cost is. And this is the Social Security benefit form. Talks about what future cost is. Optional. A lot of agents really like this peace of mind kit. It's the 10 facts that funeral directors do not want you to know. So guys, this is jam-packed with information. The more value, I feel, the more value you can add to your clients up front, the easier it is at the end when you're asking them to pay a premium of $60 or $70 a month. So I like going over the memorial guide, and really what's cool about this is that as you're going over the memorial guide, this is where really you can find out more about, have they done any pre-planning? What kind of funeral do they want? Are they looking for a traditional burial, or are they thinking more about cremation? There's even a place there to write in your agent's name. Have they picked out a funeral home? To really use that. Also talk about the discount card. Let them know that our clients have been saving hundreds of dollars utilizing the free prescription discount card. And what I like to do is I like to try to get referrals up front. So what I'll do is I'll say something like this. I said, Bob and Mary, I put this special packet together for you because really this is my way of advertising. A lot of companies spend a lot of money in advertising, and you can talk about Geico or something funny like that. But what we've decided to do as a company is invest our money giving back to the community by giving you these free benefits, the planning kit, and also the prescription discount savings card. This is our way of advertising, so in the hopes that in the future, if you ever need insurance, that you would think of us. This is where you can ask for referrals. Bob and Mary, there's probably people that you know and care about that could benefit from this program, from not only the prescription savings card, but also the free memorial guide and all the free information. But the thing about it is, I can't help the people that you know unless you put me in touch with them. Does that make sense? They're going to say yes. Well, you're allowed to sponsor up to 5 people to get all this free information. Who's the first person that you'd like to refer over? So, boom. That's a great way to try to get referrals up front. Try it. You'll be surprised how many people will actually give you referrals right up front. So that's the pre-sale folder. Once you do that, then we want to transition into the flip chart presentation. And simply what I do there, I said, Bob and Mary, let me cover with you, or let me talk to you about all the state regulated plans and how they work and all the guarantees, okay? So I'm going to pull out my flip chart. This is a flip chart from Senior Solutions. You can order these from me. But I've got all the carriers. I've got Mutual of Omaha, Columbian, Transamerica. And I want to point these out because I want to let my client know, Bob and Mary, the reason why we use so many different companies is this way we can get you approved for the maximum discounts. So you can be assured that no matter which company we go with, you're going to be placed with a highly rated company. I think that's important. And then we simply want to cover page 1. And basically all we're doing from here, folks, is we're just really reading the card. What are expected benefits, why most people, I'm sorry, that's the 3rd page. Here we go. What are final expenses? Bob and Mary, like we talked about, final expenses is when we pass away. The first thing that we do is when we die is that we create a financial burden for our family. And like we talked about, like you said, average funeral cost today in this area is somewhere between $7,000 to $10,000. So unfortunately, that's the first thing we do is we create that bill for our family. And like we said, according to the National Funeral Directors Association, average funeral cost is over $10,000. And obviously that's why you sent the form in, so you wouldn't leave that burden to your family. And then the expected benefits, why most people request the information. Here's an easy way to handle this, or how you get your clients to pick one. Bob and Mary, like I said, our company literally mails out thousands of these cards every single week. What most clients tell us is that the 3 reasons why they request the information. What I'd like for you to do is I'm going to read these off. You just tell me which one best describes you. This way I can design a plan to help you with your needs. Number 1 is that they don't have any protection in place at all, and they're worried about leaving that large financial obligation to their family. 2 is they have some protection, maybe a traditional policy, like a term policy from AARP, but they feel like they could use a little bit more. And 3rd is that they have plenty of protection, they have lots of life insurance, but they still want just a little bit more coverage, maybe for a special person, a child, a grandchild. I've even had people leave money to their favorite charity or their church. But, Bob and Mary, which of these 3 best describes you? And just let them pick one out. It's important. This way you can narrow the focus and identify the emotional part of why they sent the form in. Expected benefits. Bob and Mary, there are 5 essentials to covering final expenses. And these state-regulated plans have 5 features necessary to cover your final expenses. Number 1 is that we're going to promise you affordable premiums that are guaranteed never to increase regardless of your age or health. So what that means is that no matter how old you get, once we get your price locked in, it's locked in forever. 2, the death benefit is guaranteed never to decrease regardless of any changes to your health. 3 is the benefit is guaranteed income tax-free to your family. Rest assured that Uncle Sam is not going to get a penny of your insurance money. It goes directly to your family. Number 4, it's guaranteed never to be canceled due to any changes to your age or health, unlike other plans. And this is where you kind of throw in about the AARP policy that increases and goes away at age 80. Guaranteed cash value. Folks, this policy has guaranteed cash value that accumulates over time. It's your money, so you can use it for any emergencies or any other financial needs. And also, there's no medical exam. Now, what this means with no medical exam, what it means is that there's no doctor or nurse that's going to come out to give you a physical. That's why they send me out. I'm a state licensed field underwriter. So like I said, it's my job to ask you the health questions, and I can see you in person. This way we don't have to make you go through a physical. And then this is exploring your options. Now, Bob, this is how you phrase this. Bob and Mary, at the end of the day, when we pass away, it really, when it comes down to handling your final expenses, there's really only 3 options. Let me go through these. If you could do me a favor, just tell me which one you think makes the most amount of sense to you. Option 1, well, this is the do nothing option, which really isn't a good option, but unfortunately it's what some people do. They decide to procrastinate and not take advantage of the programs. And when they pass away, they leave a huge financial burden to their family, which can cause so much pain. And I've even seen families having to file bankruptcy because of this. Option 2 is you can acquire a prepaid funeral plan. You guys may not be aware of this, but you can go to any funeral home across the nation and do a prepaid funeral. You can go in, they can lay out the different packages for you. You pick out exactly what you want. Let's say it comes up to $9,700, and then the funeral director is going to ask you to write a check to pay for it up front. Well, most people don't have that kind of money. Quite frankly, that's probably why you sent the card in. Because if you had that much money in the bank, you probably wouldn't need final expense. So what they can do then, they can put you on a payment plan. It's kind of like buying a car, though. You end up paying it off in 5 or 10 years, and with finance charges, it's very expensive, typically several hundreds of dollars every month. And while you're making payments on the program, God forbid you pass away, your family's still responsible for the balance. Also, you can acquire a final expense plan. This is what I can help you with. This is where you make small, affordable monthly premiums into a whole life policy where we can get you typically immediate coverage. That policy can be used at any funeral home across the nation, which ultimately is the best choice because it gives your family the freedom of choice to be able to use that money and to negotiate the best deal with any funeral home across the nation. But folks, you tell me which of these three makes the most amount of sense to you. Now, everybody with any common sense is going to pick, number 3. Well, great. Bob Murray, that's a great choice. That's what all of my clients go with. The next thing I need to do is see if you even qualify for the program. So what I'm going to do is ask you some basic health questions, and then once I know a little bit more about your health, I can make a recommendation. I'm going to show you what most people are doing in your situation. And like I said, if we can find something that fits your needs and budget, we'll submit a request for coverage, and we'll see if we can't get you approved. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to pull out an application. Any application will work. Transamerica, Mutual of Omaha, CFG. I really like the app, and I like doing business with CFG. So for today's purpose, today's illustration, I'm going to have a CFG application. And what I want to do is I'm not going to necessarily ask them every single health question on the application right now. I want to kind of narrow it down a little bit and identify which company is going to be the best fit. So I'm going to kind of ask some broader questions initially to identify which company is going to be the best fit. But with the application, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start filling it out so they can see me actually taking the application. And I probably won't ask them for their social security number now, but I'll confirm their date of birth, where they were born. I'll probably get some beneficiary information, ask them who the money's going to go to, if they get approved, that sort of thing. So from here, we're on step 6, application and health questions. So what I want to do is I want to kind of ask them some broad questions. Bob and Mary, in the last 5 years, have you had a heart attack, stroke, or cancer? I'm going to ask those 3 right off the bat. If they've had any issues, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper, ask specifically about the heart attack or the stroke or the cancer, what type of treatment, what kind of medication they're on. I'm also going to ask them about diabetes. Do you take any medication for diabetes or high blood sugar? And then I'm going to dig down. You're going to find a lot of clients are diabetic. In this example, let's say, Mary's 65. She's insulin-dependent diabetic, and she started using insulin at age 55. Well, and no complications. She's a perfect fit for Columbian. I can get her a preferred level benefit. I'm also going to ask about lung disease. Guys, do you have any issues with your lungs? Do you take any medication, like inhalers or oxygen? Because I'm looking for COPD or asthma, emphysema, chronic bronchitis, any type of lung disease. I'm also going to ask in the last 5 years, have you had any surgeries? Any surgeries or procedures or any hospitalizations? See, by asking these broad questions, I can really narrow down to find out really what's wrong with them. So let's say no hospitalizations, no procedures. I'm going to ask them, what are you currently taking medications for? Other than high blood pressure, what are you currently taking medications for? Identify that. I also want to know, have they stopped using any medication? Have you been prescribed any medication in the last 5 years that you're not currently taking now? That's important. Tobacco products, are you a smoker? And then once I got that, I can make a recommendation. So like I said, this person's a perfect fit for Columbian. I'm going to go through my application. I'm going to get my application tightened up. I'm going to answer the rest of the health questions. Now, what I want to do is I want to transition into the 3-option close. I like using the worksheet from YIG. So what I did is I drew one out so you could actually see it, hopefully a little bit better. I got option 1, option 2, option 3. So how I'm going to do this when I talk to my clients, I'm going to say, Bob and Mary, now that I know a little bit more about your health, I can make a good recommendation for you. I feel very strongly I should be able to get you approved. What I'm going to simply do is I'm going to show you what most people are doing in your situation. I'm going to lay out the programs, and then we're going to find something that fits your budget. But I need you to promise me something, and that's this. If what I'm showing you does not fit into your budget, I need you to promise me that you're going to let me know. This way we can make changes to it. Because at the end of the day, wouldn't you agree that at least having some coverage in place is better than not having any coverage at all? So I want them to promise me that they're not, because what I want to say, because what I don't want to go over this with you, and then you tell me that you want to think about it because it's too high. Because at the end of the day, you're the one that controls the price. So will you make that promise to me? I make them promise me. So here's what I do. And initially, I don't put in the monthly premiums, but I have this all filled out to kind of save time. But I go option 1. Now, Bob and Mary, as we had said before, when we were looking at the Social Security benefit form, according to Social Security, in 15 to 20 years from now, it's very likely that funeral costs could be as much as $20,000. So I'm going to show you a $20,000 benefit for natural causes. It will actually double if it's an accidental death. This has the nursing home benefit waiver. So talk to them about the CFG nursing home benefit waiver. Waives their premiums if they have to go into a nursing home. Also comes with terminal illness if they happen to become terminally ill. Option 2, Bob and Mary, this will cover you for today's cost. As we said, average funeral cost today is about $10,000. So this will pay out $10,000 for natural causes, $20,000 if it's an accidental death, has the nursing home benefit waiver, and also terminal illness of $5,000. Option 3, this is where we kind of go in the middle, in between the two. $15,000 for natural causes, $30,000 for accidental, has the nursing home benefit waiver, and it has $7,500 worth of terminal illness. So I want to lay everything out first. I don't have any prices in there, so I want to go over that. Then I want to do my calculation. I get my smartphone out, I write out the calculations, and I put it back up to them. I said, okay, Mary, here's what we got. For $20,000, what you would need to set aside on a monthly basis is $117 a month. For the $10,000, it's $69 a month. And then for the $15,000, it's $87 a month. You tell me which one of these works best for you. And then guys right there, I just shut up. I don't say another word. First one to talk loses, and I mean it. So it can be awkward. Sometimes this can go on for a minute or two. So I'm waiting for them to say something. Typically, they will pick one out. If they don't, they'll come back and say, Joe, I don't know. I really can't afford any of these. Well, Mary, I can appreciate that. I know you're on you're on a fixed income, and let's face it, if you had plenty of money, you never would have sent the form in. As you said, Mary, as you stated, at least having some coverage in place would be better than not having anything at all. Let me ask you a question. If I could find a program that was somewhere between just $1 a day and $3 a day, what could you fit comfortably into your budget? So guys, what I'm going to do from there, I'm going to transition into what we call, the payment close. Then I'm going to close her on payment, identify what will work best, and then typically what I'll do is I'll come back with two different options. I'll come back, let's say she says, well, I can afford $40 a month. I'll come back with maybe $5,000. That's at $37 a month, a little bit under 40, and I'll show her one that's a little bit over 40, maybe 7,000. Maybe that's 40, $45 a month, something like that. Mary, of these two, which works best for you? And then I'm going to narrow it down to two options and close her on that. Typically, when you do that, if you do it that way, if you don't close them on the first one, you'll close them on the second one. So once you've got that identified, simply what you want to do is you want to go back in and you want to tighten up your application. Any loose ends that you might have had with your application, I'm going to collect the banking information, make sure I got my beneficiaries, all that stuff. As far as getting the banking information, don't make that a big deal. I just said, Bob and Mary, who do you guys bank with? Well, we bank with Fifth Third. Okay, great. Is that a checking or savings? Oh, great. Okay. Do you have your account information? Grab a voided check for me. Just don't make it a big deal. If you don't make it a big deal, they won't make it a big deal. Ask them when they get their paycheck. If they get paid on the 3rd, get it coordinated on the 3rd. So really get your application tightened up. Once you got the application tightened up, what you want to do is you want to work on getting some more referrals. I like using the emergency response system. I also like using the client survey. The ERS system, we got great training on the ERS system, and this is where you talk about the death benefit. The ERS system works like this. Bob and Mary, I'm glad you got this insurance taken care of. I know you love your family. As your agent, I want to make sure that when you do pass away, that we get this death claim paid as quickly as possible. And this is why we came up with the emergency response system. And what it is, it's a network of friends and family, people that care about you, that would be willing to reach out to me when you pass away. Unfortunately, there are literally hundreds of thousands of dollars that go unpaid every year from insurance claims. And it's not that the insurance companies don't want to pay the claims. It's simply that they don't know that the client has passed away, that no one never notified the insurance company. And I don't want that to happen to you. And then this is where you can go ahead and get, who's the first person you'd like to put on this emergency contact list, so I can just reach out to them, let them know I'm your agent. So when you do pass away, I can take care of the business part and get that claim paid as soon as possible. The other thing that you can utilize is the client survey. This works like a charm. I've got some training on this. You do the survey. The last question is, based on your overall experience today, how likely would you be to recommend your senior advisor to friends or family? Would not recommend, maybe recommend, definitely recommend. Well, most of them are going to say definitely recommend. Great, who's the first person you'd like to refer me over to? Get this. Here's what I can tell you. Once you get everything completed, don't be in a super big hurry to rush out of the house. Take your time, do things thoroughly. But once you've made the sale, sit back and relax a little bit, cool down with them, let them relax, let them breathe a little bit, and say, Bob and Mary, I can tell it. Look, I get the feeling that you're very relieved now that you've gotten this taken care of. And they'll open up and tell you about how relieved they are. The last thing I want to do is I want to do what I call the pushback. I want to make sure that these premiums are affordable before I leave. So I'm going to say something like this. Bob and Mary, in my experience, here's what I can tell you. The only insurance policy that matters is the insurance policy that's in force when you pass away. The reason why I bring that up is that I just want to make sure is that before I submit your application to the insurance company, that these premiums, this commitment to protect your family, fits comfortably into your budget. Because if it doesn't, we can make changes to it. So I want them to look me in the eyes, tell me it works for them. That's the pushback. Then you want to make sure that you're going to contact your clients back in 3 to 5 business days. Don't be afraid to contact your clients. Call every client, let them know that they got approved, verify the coverage, verify when when the premiums are going to come out. This will help you keep your policies on the books. And then give your clients a big hug, love on them a little bit, tell them how much you enjoyed meeting with them. You're so happy that you could take care of this for them. Guys, that's the in-home presentation broken down into the 10 simple steps. I hope this has been helpful. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.